Hey, it's Dave from CG Shortcuts. Today, we're going to do this.
We're going to play around with the Cloner Effector to create this abstract ball of pencils. Okay, here we are in Cinema 4D, and we've got our pencil here. You can find this one in the content browser. And the first thing we want to do is make sure it's at the center of our world. So we'll check and make sure our coordinates are all set to 0. Otherwise, it could lead to some problems later on. Right, then with our pencil selected, let's go up to MoGraph and grab a cloner. We'll hold Alt where we click that so it becomes a parent of our pencil. And you'll see if we look down here that our cloner has inherited the coordinates from our pencil. So again, everything is at 0. Now, if we come down here, you can see that our cloner count is set to 3. So you'd expect there to be 2 more clones somewhere. They are actually there, we just can't see them because the Y value is too high. Let's bring that down to 1, and there they are. The cloner's default mode is linear. So you'll see here, if we add some more, our clones will be all in a row. But that's not what we want here. We want our clones to be in a sphere. But if we click mode, you'll see there's no spherical option here. Let's give radial a try. Again, our clones are too far apart, so let's bring the radius down so we can see what's going on. And if we add a few more clones, you can see the kind of effect we can get. And we're getting closer, but it's still not quite what we're after. It's definitely radial, but it's not spherical. The mode we actually want is the object mode, which is going to allow us to customize the shape a lot more. We want it to be a sphere, so let's try bringing a sphere in. Let's pull out a bit so we can see this. Now we need to tell our cloner to use this sphere as the object. So let's grab him and chuck him in here. Let's give it a minute to think, and there we go. Let's come up to our display options and turn on our lines so we can see what's happening here. Basically, we're getting a pencil clone to every vertex of our sphere. Let's turn those lines off and we'll zoom in a little bit. You might notice we're getting a bit of lag now. All of these clones are adding quite a lot of geometry to our scene and slowing things down. But if we tick the render instances checkbox, all of our clones will become instances of the one pencil, and that'll really speed things up for us. Okay, let's hide our sphere so we can get a better look at this. You can do that by double-clicking the top stoplight here until it goes red. Let's have a quick look at our reference again. You can see we need to figure out a way to make our pencils point inward. Right now, our pencils are kind of wrapping around the sphere, and this is to do with the axis orientation of our pencil. So the easiest way to do this is to grab the pencil and click on our Enable Axis tool here, which is going to allow us to modify the angle of our axis. We'll grab the Rotate tool, and if we rotate it this way, you'll see they're all pointing outward. And if we put it back the other way to 90 degrees, they're all pointing the way we want. They're probably a bit too far away from each other at the moment. Let's bring them in closer by shrinking our sphere. Let's click the sphere, we'll turn off our Axis tool, and we'll grab our Scale tool and just bring that down. That's looking better, but you'll notice we have another issue here. If we orbit around and have a look at the top here, you can see our pencils are clustering in little circles. We want them to be distributed around the sphere nice and evenly. If we click our stoplight and bring our sphere back, and come back to display and turn on our lines, you can see why this is happening. The standard sphere has a pole at the top, so the vertexes are closer together and it forms this little circle. But lucky for us, there's another sphere in Cinema 4D that has more even geometry. Let's go and find it. Let's click on our sphere, and under the Object tab, under Type, let's select Octahedron. As you can see there, our points are much more evenly distributed. And to check that, let's hide our sphere again, and turn off those lines, and you can see that's looking much better. Now that we've got our ball of pencils sorted out, we want to add a little bit of random animation to make this a little bit more interesting. If we have a quick look at our reference again, you'll see that our pencils are floating around a little bit, but you can see if we scroll through the timeline, our pencils are just staying still at the moment. And that's kind of boring. But a nice way I found to control them is to bring in a target effector, which is just up here under the MoGraph menu. We need to make sure that's affecting our cloner. And if we look under effectors, we can see that it isn't at the moment. So let's just grab it and drag it down here. And instantly our pencils are pointing the wrong way again. But that's an easy fix. Let's click on our target. And down here, we just want to click on the reverse heading checkbox. And that's looking better. Now, if we were to come up and grab our Move tool, we can drag this around and control the direction the pencils are facing. So a nice way to get this organic motion is to just animate our target. And we're going to do that this time by adding a vibrate tag. So with our target selected, we'll come up to tags, and under the Cinema 4D tags, we'll grab a vibrate down here. We'll turn on the position, and we'll set the settings to about 2 centimeters each, and the frequency to 0.5. And if we hit play and zoom in a little bit, you can see some very subtle motion, just to make things a little bit more interesting. We could probably make this effect a little bit more dramatic by changing the anchor point of our pencil. Let's switch our cloner off for now by clicking this little tick, which becomes a cross, and we're left with our pencil. And you can see the anchor point is at the end of the pencil. Let's try it at the tip. So we'll grab our axis tool again, and we'll just move him down here to the tip of the pencil. And if we switch our cloner back on again, and we'll zoom out a little bit and hit play. Let's also scale our sphere back down a bit. That's better. And zoom in. You can see that the target effect is happening from the pencil tips now. So we're getting a bit more motion towards the end of the pencils. And I think that's looking pretty cool now. So let's get the rest of the scene set up and ready for the next step. Let's come up here and add in a camera, and we'll click this little button here to make that active. Then we want to come down to its coordinates and just zero all of that out for now. And we'll zoom back directly in the Z axis to about 179 centimeters and just up in the Y a tad to -11. We'll rewind that and we'll bring in a plane. We'll move that down. That's going to be our floor. And because we'll be adding dynamics to make these pencils interact with the floor, we want the geometry count to be pretty low. So let's grab our plane now and we'll bring the segments down to 1. That'll keep things nice and light. While we've got our plane selected, let's go up to tags. We'll grab a simulation tag and we'll make it a collider body. Then we'll go and click on our cloner, and the same again, simulation tags. Let's make that a rigid body. And if we hit play, that's kind of cool, but it's not what we were after. The dynamics are treating our pencil ball as one solid object, but we want all of the pencils to be their own object, so they interact with each other. We also don't want the simulation to start straight away. We want to see our ball wiggle around a little bit before it collapses. So let's fix that first. Let's come over here and disable the dynamics by unchecking this box. Then we'll scroll forward to frame 36 on the timeline and click here to add a keyframe. Then we'll go forward one more frame and key it back on. So again, if we hit play, it'll float around for a little bit, and at frame 36, it falls to the ground. And to fix our other problem, we just need to go over to the collision tab and we'll turn individual elements to top level, which is going to treat all of the child objects as individual objects. And if we hit play, they should start interacting with each other. Whoa, maybe a bit too much interaction. We've got a bit of a pencil explosion there. And that's because our collision shape is set to automatic. And it's having a hard time calculating the shape of all of these pencils. But if we select box, it's basically going to put an invisible box around every pencil so they can collide with each other easily. Let's play that back and see if it's changed anything. Nope, still exploding everywhere. And I think that's because our invisible boxes are intersecting because there's so many of these pencils. But if we come over here and change our size increment, just up a tiny bit to say 0.1, it'll tell all of our invisible boxes to be ever so slightly bigger than every one of the pencils. And hopefully we won't get any weird intersecting and it shouldn't explode. Let's play it back and see. It's wiggling around a little bit. And yeah, that's better. Let's watch it again. Yes, I'm happy with that. I knew we'd get there eventually. We could probably have a little bit less bounce. So let's grab both of our dynamics tags and we'll bring the friction up to 80% and play that back. And I think that's looking more realistic. Cool. Okay, I think we've got the dynamics all sorted now, but I'm still not that happy with our little wiggly movement at the beginning. One thing we can do to make it a little bit more interesting is add a random effector. So let's grab our cloner and we'll bring in a random effector. If we have our cloner selected, it should automatically be applied. And you can see by that explosion, it's definitely been applied. We'll go into the parameters and bring the position and rotation way down to something like 1 centimeter each. And under the effector tab, let's change the random mode to noise. And we'll bring the animation speed down to 50%. and the scale to 10%. Let's turn off that target effector for a second so we can see the effect our random is having on it. We'll hit play, and that's looking pretty cool. Everything's still working. We'll switch our target back on, and there's our final animation. And you spotted that, didn't you? One of our pencils is going crazy. Let's go right here. I think our noise in our random effector is causing some interpenetration again with our little invisible boxes. If we change the space to UV, I think you'll find that'll work nicely. Very nice. So you can see, working with dynamics, a lot of the time it's a process of trial and error. Just keep playing around until you get it working. And that pretty much concludes this tutorial. As always, you can download the project files below to save a bit of time. And don't forget, you can get a whole bunch of extra stuff on our Patreon page. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you want to see in the comment section below. Or you can leave a like or dislike. And don't forget to subscribe and click on that little bell icon for more videos and free stuff. Catch you next time.